Alright, it is January 12th, 2024, and I'm out here in the backyard. I was checking out the plants this morning to see, because I was doing some planting yesterday, and I walked over to the backyard and I was picking up some trash, cleaning up. The kids are always making a mess back here, and I noticed something I was about to pick up right there, and it looks like seeds, and I was wondering what kind of seeds they were, and I'm not exactly sure, but they are germinating, and those seeds seem to be covered in cotton, and I have a fairly good idea of what this plant is, because we were picking some of these seeds up the other day, well, not the other day, a couple weeks ago, and this is when we were over at church. There were some cotton trees that had shed some cotton all over the place, and so I picked some up and showed the kids, and the kids ran over and grabbed some themselves. And I'm assuming this is also mixed up with some trash here. You can see this is just paper trash, and you got some leaves, but I'm fairly certain that these are cotton trees. There's only one way to find out. The only reason I slightly doubt this is because the seeds, as you can kind of see in there, they seem kind of big, and the seeds of the cotton tree that we had gotten seem very small. I don't know if these seeds expand or not, but the fact that they're covered in cotton already tells me that this might just be those seeds. We'll go over to the garden side, sit down, and check them out. Alright, so here we are on the garden side, and as you can see here, these are the germinated seeds, and it looks like the cotton was just kind of serving as like, you see this a lot with folks who germinate their seeds. They use paper towels, but this cotton kind of serves as a type of media that the seeds can actually germinate in. And I'm pulling off the cotton from one of the seeds that I had actually in my truck. So I save a lot of these seeds over in my toolbox until I can get to them, because it's a pretty good place. They're protected, and it stays kind of dark in there, and it's not damp, so the seeds don't have any risk of germinating while they're in there. You know, comparatively, this guy is much smaller than some of these look. See, you can kind of see it right there. That's one seed, but at the same time, they look almost identical. So I guess it's safe to say these are the cotton trees, and they're germinating, which is super cool, because I didn't have to do anything as far as germination goes. But it's also a cool learning point that you can actually germinate these seeds in the cotton, and where you saw it laying there is exactly where they were the whole time. And I know, because I'd just be passing back and forth, and I'd look at it, just one of those things where you pass by, you know, the trash in the backyard, and you never really reach down and throw it in the trash, just pure laziness. But this time, laziness paid off. And don't get it mistaken though. Laziness does not always pay off. As a matter of fact, it doesn't pay off. But I'm just saying, this time it actually did. I'm gonna plant these seeds in these small 1-inch pots here. They may be kind of small, and it might have been a smarter idea to get them planted in a bigger 3-inch pot right here. But these pots here are much bigger, and I would like to plant them in these pots, but I don't have any on hand. So for the lack of having 3-inch pots, I'm going to get them planted here, so at least they are actually in some potting mix. And later on, as they grow, I'll go ahead and transfer them into a 3-inch pot. Alright, so I figured, why don't we let's see if Shadow doesn't knock everything over here while we're working. But because these have already germinated, we got to be extra careful about damaging them, because that little root is already sticking out. Alright, I just want to grab a little stick here, and you'll see why. I just want to make a little hole as far as I can down into that pot, so that when I take these little germinated seeds out, I don't have to just jam the root down into that pot. I can kind of guide it down into the little hole that I'm making there. You know, the further on the seed is, the more fragile the process, which is part of why I don't like to plant my seeds this way. I guess some folks just need to see that, seed germinating before they actually go through the whole process that I'm going through. But I don't find it to be such a tedious process that, oh my goodness, I wasted my time planting them. They didn't even germinate. Sometimes, as a planter and as a grower, you just have to be willing to take the risk of chancing it, because that's what these plants naturally do when they're out in the wild. So I wouldn't think that they couldn't do it on their own. Sorry, I'm kind of off camera here. Just like I said, I'm very careful and anxious about this process. Okay, so I got the little root, you can see there. I'll try to stay in the frame here. And the little root is in, just kind of push down on the sides here, so the soil kind of works its way in next to the root without damaging the top of the plant. That's one. This will be a second one. I'm totally off frame, but I'll try to do as much as we can to stay within the frame. Excuse the noise, that's just a neighbor walking the dog. Everybody walking their dogs in the morning, and I'm out here planting my plants. It'll be fun to work with the kids one day to see what we can do with this cotton, try and process it and see if we can make a pillow or something out of it. Maybe use it to refill our little stuffed animals that they love pulling the baby loves pulling all the cotton out of. We have a recliner in the living room, and the kids love pulling all of the filling out of this recliner. And who knows, maybe, just maybe in the near future, we can refill the recliner with all this cotton. Alright, it's January 31st, 2024, and it has been approximately 3 weeks. So, I think about 19 or 20 days since we planted these germinated cotton seeds. There were originally 12 of them, but it looks like only 7 of them made it here. And I'm going to be transplanting these little plants. Take a closer look at one of them. So I'm going to be planting these guys into 3-inch pots. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to transplant one of these, just for the sake of learning and seeing how I do it. Others may do it differently, so I put maybe a little bit of soil in there, a little bit of potting mix, kind of compact it just slightly. Then we'll kind of soften up, just softly squeeze, massage around the smaller pot, so we can kind of coax that plant to just come out. And there we have it. Beautiful root system. Perfect timing for transplantation. We'll go ahead and set them in there just like that. We'll grab more soil and get it in around the sides here. Try and keep him straight. So when they're down the side, just slowly add little handfuls of soil. Put them down into the side there, because when we water this in, everything will rest the way it should, and it'll fill in those air holes, the gaps. And I think, well, just a little bit more. There we go, just a little bit more. And there we have it. There's one cotton plant transplanted. When you're working with seedlings and transplanting them, you want to be very careful. As a matter of fact, if you don't have the time to sit down and carefully transplant them, I suggest you just wait till you do have the time, because these roots are very fragile and these little plants are very fragile, and handling them takes a lot of care. Another thing that I forgot to put out there was, before transplantation, I always use a watering can or just the hose to water the plants down really well while they're in the original pots. Water them down real well, let that water get down in there, maybe let them rest for a couple minutes, and then start the process of transplantation. Because if you take them out while they're dry, although a lot of planters do take them out while they're dry, if you do take them out while they're dry, there's a risk of breaking the roots even further or sending the plant into shock when you're transplanting them. And it's not always a guarantee that when you do water them after they've been transplanted, that the water will get down through the dry potting mix into the original potting mix that the roots are in. So some of the roots may end up dead or rotting. So I like to water them before I transplant, and then after I transplant them, I'll water them, give them a good thorough watering again, and watch them very carefully for the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, I might water every 2, maybe 3 days, but definitely 2 days. All right, it is March 8th, 2024, and it has been approximately 2 months since we planted these cotton seeds. Keep in mind, they had already germinated when we planted them. Well, at least most of them. I think there was only one that hadn't germinated yet, and I didn't really check to see which ones made it and which ones didn't. Just kind of planted them and let them do their thing. But here we are again today. The plants look great. I think they'll be ready for transplantation here within the next couple of weeks. If I had the materials to transplant them, I'd wait maybe a week and a half before I transplanted them, but I'm gonna have to wait on that. So I think we'll be back in 3 weeks to get them transplanted. However, I won't be showing you that process. We'll just come back in the future sometime to see how much bigger they have gotten. As a matter of fact, I'll probably show you when I do take them out to the farm to plant them into the ground. So you can see here, some of them, the hardwood is already starting to develop on the little trunks of these plants, and they look so beautiful. Some very pretty plants here. And this one here in the back is already branching off. So, like I said at the very beginning, I don't know how to cultivate really these cotton plants. I'm just kind of planting them for the novelty of having them. But like I said, they're very pretty plants, so I'm gonna hang on to these for quite some time. But as for now, we'll leave the video there. We'll come back in the future to see what these guys look like then. Thanks for watching.